te Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 20, the rainy season and autumn in Vrindavan. Text 33. Please repeat after me. Sharadha Niraja Utpatya Nirani Prakritim Yayuhu Brashtanam Iva Chetangsi Punaha Yoga Nishevaya. Sharadha Nirajotpatya Nirani Prakriting Yayuhu Brashtanam Iva Chetangsi Punaryoga Nishevaya. Sharadha Nirajotpatya Nirani Prakriting Yayuhu Brashtanam Iva Chetangsi Punaryoga Nishevaya. Sharadha Nirajotpatya Nirani Prakriting Yayuhu Brashtanam Iva Chetangsi Punaryoga Nishevaya. Nirajotpatya Nirani Prakriting Yayuhu Nirani Chetangsi Punaryoga Nishevaya. Matajis. Nirani Prakriting Shtanam Iva Chetangsi Punaryoga Nishevaya. Sharadha Nirajotpatya Nirani Prakriting Yayuhu Sharadha, by the effect of the autumn season. Niraja, the lotus flowers. Utpatya, which regenerates. Nirani, the bodies of water. Prakritim, to their natural state of cleanliness. Yayuhu, returned. Brashtanam, of those who are fallen. Eva, just as. Chetangsi, the minds. Punaha, once again. Yoga, of devotional service. Nishevaya, by practice. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: the autumn season, which regenerated the lotus flowers, also restored the various bodies of water to their original purity, just as the process of devotional service purifies the minds of the fallen yogis when they return to it. The purport we will read from the light of the Bhagavata. Srila Prabhupada has given purport for every verse, so there is no purport here, so we will read from that. Verse 33. Oh, that's correct. Okay, I'll read the translation as well. In autumn, all the reservoirs of water become enriched with growing lotuses. The muddy water again becomes normally clear and decorated, just as fallen conditioned souls once more become spiritually enriched in devotional service. Purport: we should not be disappointed in our muddy life of material existence, for as soon as we voluntarily take to the devotional service of the Lord, our whole life becomes clear like water in autumn. Devoid of our relationship with God, our life is barren. But as soon as the muddy mind is cleared by spiritual association or cultivation of the human spirit, the threefold miseries of material life are at once cleared off. Thus the lotus of knowledge gradually fructifies, and this gradual process of long staircase and the upward steps are variously designated as regulated work, transcendental knowledge, mystic powers, and ultimately Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. Bhakti Yoga is pure and unalloyed, being entirely beyond all the preliminary steps. Such unalloyed devotional service in favor of the Supreme Lord was displayed at Vrindavana when the Lord descended there, and thus the yoga exhibited by the gopis of Vrindavana is the highest unalloyed love of Godhead, the perfection of Bhakti Yoga. To rise to the stage of love shown by the gopis is very difficult, but this stage is attainable for serious conditioned souls. Unfortunately, cheap neophytes make a show of the transcendental ecstasies of the gopis, bringing them onto the mundane plane for perverted manifestations, and thus clearing the way to hell by such unwanted caricatures. Serious students of yoga, however, practice it seriously, and thus they attain the highest perfection in Bhakti Yoga, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 47, Yoginam api sarvesham madghate nantaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sharadha Nirajotpatya Nirani Prakriting Yayuhu Bhrashtanam Iva Chetangsi Punar Yoga Nishevaya. The autumn season, which regenerated the lotus flowers, also restored the various bodies of water to their original purity, just as the process of devotional service purifies the minds of the fallen yogis when they return to it. In this particular verse, we can see here two words specifically are very much repeated in the Bhagavatam. One word is a very important word. It's called Nishevaya. So this word is also, you can see in the right from the first canto of the Bhagavatam and different places. Nishevanat, that word is used. And also Saroruham. Yeah, that's also another important. That's Niraja. The word Niraja is there. So the lotus flower. Also, we can see Saroruha is word is being used by Shukadeva Goswami in the Bhagavatam. This is also a very repeated theme, and it's very much fitting the context, because here it's explained that during the beginning of the autumn season, the muddy water gets cleared and the water in the pond becomes completely cleared. That is being compared to the reinstatement of the living entities. The living entities' constitutional position is to remain as the eternal servant of Krishna, and being the eternal servant of Krishna and being reinstated in that situation, the jiva becomes free from all the material desires, all the contaminations, and he's in the natural state, being very happy, and he completely gives himself totally to Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada in this purport, he very much emphasizes the point that the pure devotional service is the ultimate pinnacle, is the pinnacle, or it's the perfection of one's life. And he gives the example of how the Lord descended in Vrindavan, and the gopis, they exhibited this pure love, they exhibited the pure emotions just to please Krishna. They did not have any other desire. And Prabhupada also points out that that is the perfection of one's life, and it is very rare, it is not so easy. It's not so easy to practice pure devotional service, but for those sincere seekers, specifically Prabhupada points out, for all the conditioned souls, yet who are honest and sincere, it is possible. So it's not something Bhagavatam discusses a point. It's again and again, it emphasizes right from the first canto to the end of the 12th canto, it's very much stressed the importance of pure devotional service. And throughout this subject matter in the Bhagavatam, the pure devotional service is compared with other mixed devotional service, Kevala Bhakti and Mishra Bhakti. So both are being discussed, both are being, it's being contrasted with so many examples of various personalities. So, and also, that is the most important theme of the entire, if you just take the entire, all the Vedas, everything, ultimately, the most important point to be understood is to engage in pure devotional service of the Lord. That's why Srila Rupa Goswami, while discussing the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the very first verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu establishes this principle very clearly, that the goal of life is to engage in pure devotional service. Anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti ruttama. So the pure devotional service is defined as that which is free from the influence of mental speculation and anyabhilasha shunyam dhyana and also free from fruitive results. You perform some activity and you expect some fruitive result, but a pure devotional service is free from that, and also that service that is rendered to the Lord is without any personal motive. It is simply done favorably to please Krishna. So this is we often hear, any book you read, there is a very important theme. The author brings in a very important theme at the beginning. He emphasizes that. That is, in technical term, that is called as Paribhasha Sutra, or it is explained that this is the principle with which the whole book is elaborated. If you understand this principle, you will be able to relate to all the subject that is discussed. So, we can see the nectar of devotion in the beginning. Srila Rupa Goswami establishes this, and then all the discussion is based on that very important principle. Similarly, we can see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also the same principle of pure devotional service. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is establishing Atendriya Priti Vancha Tare Bhali Kam Krishnendriya Priti Icha Dhare Premanam. So what is meant by love of God? What is meant by prema? Prema is that when the living entities are simply endeavoring to satisfy the senses of Krishna. That is actually defined as prema. And everything else, whatever activity we may do, if there is a tinge of personal motivation behind it, just that's try to satisfy our own senses, satisfy our own vision, our own hearing, our own taste, our own touch feelings, all these things, when we try to satisfy ourselves, then that becomes karma. And now, pure devotional service is that by all our endeavors, we simply try to please Krishna and his pure devotees. This is pure devotional service. So, and in that state, the living entity is reinstated in his constitutional position, and the jiva, by constitutional position, the Lord is Sachidananda, the living entity is also Sachidananda. But the Lord is Vibhu, the jiva is Anu. And we can see a similar verse, the same word is also used in the Shukadeva Goswami is pointing out. Here in this verse, the word Punar Yoga Nishevaya is mentioned, which means that the living entity, when he gets back to engagement in pure devotional service, he becomes pure, he becomes effulgent. A similar verse we saw in the same chapter before. that's explaining Abhibhran Ruchiram Rupam Yata Hari Nishevaya. So Shukadeva Goswami is explaining that as all creatures of the land and water took advantage of the newly fallen rainwater, their forms became attractive and pleasing. Just as a devotee becomes beautiful by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord. This beauty is not just the physical beauty or the color. It doesn't literally mean that. Actually, it means that the devotee is perfectly situated in his constitutional position with the pure desire. Arna Koriho Mane Asha. There is no other desire for him other than pleasing Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. So in that situation, he's shining actually. That's the real shining. Not that externally one may be black, one may be brown, one may be white. It doesn't matter but actually the soul is shining. That external. So that's what is mentioned here. That when one engages in pure devotional service, he is free from anxiety. He is free from lust, anger and greed. So naturally, he is very happy. He is very blissful. So that's the constitutional position of the jiva. So that's being pointed out here. And so that's what Srila Prabhupada in this verse, he's also pointing out that when the fallen yogi, when he engages back in devotional service, then the mind is thoroughly purified and he is happy. And we can see this, this in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, this taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, which is compared to engaging in pure devotional service. So Sutta Goswami, when this is in the first canto, in the 6th chapter, he is pointing out about the situation of Arjuna when the Pandavas, when he heard that Krishna already left the world, Arjuna was in separation. But there's a beautiful verse which explains, Evam Chintayato Jishno Krishna Pada Saroruham Sauha Denati Ghadena Shantasid Vimalamatihi. So Krishna Pada Saroruham, he says that Arjuna, he completely absorbed himself. He took shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intimacy or friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. So Sutta Goswami is hinting here that actually, if we want to be free from anxieties, if we want to become purified, the best process is to take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. So taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet means for us practically taking shelter of the instructions of the Lord. Whatever the instructions the Lord has given, so that we need to take shelter. And by taking the instructions that is given by the Lord, and we follow it in our life, then gradually we become purified. And by the purification, we get realization. So this is the science of devotional service. And also, as we see in this particular verse, this word Nishevaya is translated as practice. And we can see throughout in the Bhagavatam, this word Nishevaya, Nishevanat, is being pointed out as rendering pure devotional service. So the science of how to render pure devotional service, that's being explained in the Bhagavatam again and again. This point is that we have to develop taste to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, because Srimad Bhagavatam explains, it clearly outlines the process of pure devotional service. So this theme, Shukadeva Goswami, right from the first canto of the Bhagavatam, he emphasizes this point. And in fact, he explains that how to develop that taste for hearing the Harikatha. What is the way? Shushusho Shraddhadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Sayan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. This word is used, Nishevana. So the point is that how one can develop taste for Vasudeva Katha. So that means that one needs to develop faith. So how that faith will build up? So it is explained here that by rendering service to the Mahat Sevaya. So that rendering service to the great personalities who are pure devotees of the Lord, who carry this message in their heart. What is the real message of the Lord? The real message is to render pure devotional service to Him. The pure devotees, they have understood the sum and substance of the whole subject matter of the Vedas. They know the essence is in pure devotional service. And if we render service to them, by their mercy, we will develop taste to hear Harikatha. And by hearing Harikatha and absorbing ourselves in rendering service to Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting the holy names of Krishna, we will be purified, and we will also become the transparent via medium to give this message to others. So this is what the Bhagavatam explains. So attraction for topics concerning Krishna will arise by service to the great devotees, followed by faith, by surrender to the feet of the pure Guru, and by the desire to hear. So this is the process. So why we are again and again here, come and hear the Bhagavatam, chant the holy names, render service. So this is our process. This is the perfect process. So we have medicine, we have diet. So Srila Prabhupada has given us, chanting the holy names of Krishna. Every day we chant the holy names of the Lord. Everybody has got different capacities, different abilities. So one has to use that in Krishna's service under the guidance of the pure devotee or his representatives. And when we abide by those instructions, then we can see there will be purification that will happen. So in one of the lectures, Prabhupada says that this ISKCON is compared to a very big hospital. In hospital there are so many different kinds of patients, and everybody is given different kinds of treatment. Everybody has to undergo a diet, everybody has to take a medicine. We have to follow it sincerely. Then gradually there will be purification. And we can see that there is improvement that's happening. So to the degree we take the process seriously, to that degree we will be purified. And also very important factor that this is also we hear again and again, that it's not that by our own endeavor, by our own strength, although our endeavor is required, our strength is required, simultaneously we depend on the mercy of the spiritual master and the predecessor acharyas. This is the process. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is also pointing out in this purport. So in this verse, this Punya Tirtha Nishayavana, so much stress is given to render service to the pure devotees. So rendering service to the pure devotees can also mean rendering physical service to them, literally, and also Vani Seva and Vapu Seva. Vani Seva is trying to hear the instructions what they have given and try to understand what will please those pure devotees. And we try to take up those instructions and apply it in our life and sincerely practice it. Then there will be purification happening. And there are two more verses in the Bhagavatam which also very much points out the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and it very much shows how by regularly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, studying Srimad Bhagavatam, rendering service to the Bhagavatas, how our faith will, from Komal Shraddha, it will become Prouda Shraddha. The faith will build up and faith will become very strong. And Shukadeva Goswami points out that one will be able to have audience of the Lord face to face. So he says, it's a very famous verse. It says, Shrinvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grhanatascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dhirgena Bhagavan Vishate Ridihi. So he says that for one who gives sincere oral reception to the messages of the Bhagavatam every day, Prabhupada points out in the comment in that purport that every day very sincerely one who hears the Bhagavatam, one tries to understand and tries to apply the message of the Bhagavatam in his life. So he says that Nati Dhirgena. Nati Dhirgena means not so long. It will not take a long time. One will be able to get the darshan of the Lord. So this is the process. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport to the light of Bhagavata is making the point that let's not make this process of pure devotional service very cheap. Yesterday one person sent me a link of one so-called Bhagavatam speaker. He is performing something, some kind of a Rasa Leela He's talking on Rasa Leela and he's dancing with, of course, there were some children and, kind of bit of an imitation of he's with Krishna in the center and then there are other gopis around. And it's not so cheap, we can see in the Bhagavatam, that right from Parikshit Maharaj, right from the first canto, there are so many instructions that is given. It's not that directly Parikshit Maharaj was given, although he was a pure devotee. Shukadeva Goswami could have directly spoke on the subject matter of Rasa Leela. It was not like that. Right from first canto to the 9th canto, there was a gradual build-up which is given to specifically the heart needs to be purified. The material desires, one should become purified from the material desires. Otherwise, we will take it very cheap. So here in the light of Bhagavata, Prabhupada is pointing out that, so this subject matter is not to be taken very cheaply. So one should respect and should understand what is Krishna's position, who he is, what is the purpose of his incarnation, what the Lord expects from us. So that needs to be understood. So that is why Prabhupada, you can see the complete science of Bhakti Yoga. Prabhupada if you see the translation of the Nectar of Devotion, he makes the complete science of Bhakti Yoga. Why he says complete science of Bhakti Yoga is so that we should not take it for granted of some vague sentiments or something hovering on the mental platform. It's not like that. It's very clear. So that's why we hear, when some devotee sincerely practice, he makes progress. When one does not one makes offenses, one takes the process of devotional service very light, there is a fall down. So it's not because the process works. If we are sincere, we get purified. If we are not sincere, if we misuse, then there is negative reaction. Nevertheless, whatever it is, the practice of pure devotional service, even a person gives a sincere try, is always purified. There is always, certainly there is improvement. There is always, the path is very glorious. Krishna explains in the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that, what's that verse Krishna says that it will nehabhikramanashosti pratyavayona vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So Krishna explains that even little bit endeavor in this process will save one from the greatest of danger. So we can see here even the yogi, maybe apparently for whatever reason, he might have gone astray from the path of pure devotion, but the moment he again takes back to the process, he gets reinstated in the constitutional position as a pure servant of the Lord. So yoga bhrashta, this word is also being used here. So yoga bhrashta. So even if one is fallen, the glory of devotional service is that he may continue from wherever that he has left, and that's the beauty of devotional service. From wherever he has left, he has a chance to continue. On the other hand, one may make great endeavors in his material life. He may be very rich, he may be very educated, so-called educated. He may be in a very comfortable situation in the society. He may have so much name, fame, glories, but everything is gone with the wind. Everything is gone. At the end of this life, everything is gone. There's a famous saying, graveyards are full of indispensable men. You can see there are so many people who said that, I'm great, I have done this, I have done that, I've been ruling for 40 years. You can see, where are those people? What happened to them? Where they are now? What is their situation? You can see there are so many popular personalities, so-called popular personalities. If you go to the YouTube, you can see there are thousands and thousands of people some of them were great tennis stars, some of them were great football stars, they were politicians, they were national heroes. Yesterday, one of my old friend, he called me, and then, we had our own anarthas before coming to Krishna consciousness. So much discussion on cricket. So he was speaking to me about a famous cricket star by name Brian Lara. He said, I was completely forgot about him. He was speaking and said, what happened to him? There is no talk about him. He was a star. He was a great star. The whole world was speaking about him. I said, good morning. Welcome to material world. That's how it is. You might have done so many things. You might have achieved many things, but it's all gone with this. Once you are leaving this body, it's gone. It's going short-lived. But devotional service is not like that. Whatever, even little bit you do for the Lord never forgets. We may have forgotten it, but the Lord doesn't forget. So it's glorious. So here, the point that's being made is that, even the fallen yogis, when they again take to the process of devotional service, their mind is thoroughly purified. So Shukadeva Goswami, he continues this point. So how this pure devotional service works, how Krishna is very personal. He He cares for his devotees. He saves his devotees. So he makes the point that Pravishta karna randrena swanang bhava saroruham dunoti shamalam Krishna salilasya yatasharat. Very much relevant to today's verse. So he says that Krishna entering the lotus of the heart through the ears of the devotees. So this is the point. So that's why Prabhupada was so much, he was enforcing, in spite of so much of service and all other various activities we do, we have to hear about Krishna. We have to come together, hear about Krishna, glorify Krishna. That's the central point. And it's part of our daily activity. So chanting the names of the Lord, hearing the Bhagavatam. So Shravanam is the heart of Kirtan. Many times we have heard this. So if we hear properly, if we have proper Sambandha Jnana, then we will be able to appreciate the holy name. We will be able to appreciate the devotees. We will be able to appreciate the process of devotional service. And we will be very conscious in whatever that we are doing. And that will be very pleasing to the Lord and the Acharyas. So Shukadeva Goswami points out that he says that how it happens, how the cleansing happens, he says the hearing process of Krishna consciousness, he cleanses away all the contamination until it is completely pure, like the pools of water in the autumn seasons. So when there's autumn season, the water becomes completely clear. So there's the same example Shukadeva Goswami is pointing out earlier. So Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, in the commentary to this verse, he is again glorifying the process of pure devotional service compared to any other process, to be a process of mystic yoga or hatha yoga or karma yoga or jnana yoga. What about that? Why not some other process? So he says that, he makes a point that in this verse, bhava indicates relationships like dasya and sakya. Thus, bhava sharoruham can also mean the lotus of various sentiments for the Lord. Krishna washes away the faults such as lust and anger. So Krishna personally, he removes the dust from the heart. And he says that, but this is not so remarkable because jnana and yoga can do this also. So he gives an example that, so he's comparing that maybe jnana and yoga can also do this. But then he gives an example. By mixing a substance in a jar of water, that water alone is purified, but not all the water in the rivers or ponds. So it means that jnana and yoga you may have temporarily for some time, but it cannot thoroughly purify all the anarthas that is there in the heart. So we have this kutam, bijam and papam. So that even the subtle desires which are stored in the unmanifested form, that can be completely purified only by the engagement of pure devotional service. Nothing can uproot the weeds that is there in the heart which is unmanifested. Only the pure devotional service can do. So he further explains, the contamination also remains in the jar and is not completely destroyed. By shaking the jar, the dirt becomes disturbed again. Jnana and yoga purify some people, but not all. And even then, not completely. They purify the heart to some degree. So he points out, the Bhagavatam, again he points out that by engaging in the service of Mukunda, one can be completely purified. So very interestingly, Srila Prabhupada in the purport to this verse, in his purport, he points out that how this whole science works. He says that actually by the pure devotee of the Lord has got that potency, he has got the power to purify the conditioned soul, whom whatever may be the contamination he may be coming from the lowest of the backgrounds. And Srila Prabhupada, he goes on to quote all the previous acharyas, very humbly he's presenting there. Actually we can see this is Srila Prabhupada who has got that potency. He did that. He went to the West. He saved the lives of so many people who are from unimaginable backgrounds, and all of those who came in touch with Prabhupada, who took to the chanting of the holy names, who took to the process of devotional service, they were all purified. I'll just read some portions of the purport. It's very interesting. It is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Thus, one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee like Narada or Shukadeva Goswami, and thus is empowered by one spiritual master, as Narada was by Brahmaji, cannot only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya or illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional strength. So this particular section, it speaks about just before this Chaturshloki of Bhagavatam is spoken. Then Narada heard from Brahma, and then Narada is sharing his realization. to the devotees. So that in that comparison, Prabhupada is making that Narada could deliver the entire world because he was so much potent. Then Prabhupada goes on to explain. The comparison to the autumnal rain that falls on muddy reservoirs of water is very appropriate. During the rainy season, all the waters of the rivers become muddy. But in the month of July, August, the autumn season, when there is a slight rainfall, the muddy waters of the rivers all over the world become at once clear. By addition of some chemical, a small reservoir of water like that of a metropolitan waterworks tank can be cleared. But by such a tiny effort, it is not possible to clear up all the reservoirs of water like the rivers. So he says, a powerful, pure devotee of the Lord, however, can deliver not only his personal self, but also many others in his association. In other words, the cleansing of the polluted heart by other methods like the culture of empiric knowledge or mystic gymnastics, Prabhupada calls the Hatha Yoga as mystic gymnastics, can simply cleanse one's own heart. But devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people in general. By the devotional service of the pure empowered devotee, a true representative of the Lord like Narada, Shukadeva Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the 6 Goswamis, and later Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, etc., can deliver all people by their empowered devotional service. So, we're just going through that line, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada. So again, Prabhupada concludes the purport. By sincere efforts to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, one realizes his constitutional relationship with the Lord in the transcendental humor. So one can, by giving oral reception, by engaging in service, as Srila Prabhupada points out in so many lectures as well. So one's constitutional position will be revealed. He can be reinstated in one of the 5 rasas. He may be a Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, or Madhurya. So that the Guru will reveal it during the course of process. So while concluding the purport, Prabhupada makes the point, the idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart for good. Whereas other methods may be superficially good for the time being, there is a risk of becoming muddy again due to agitation of the mind. Devotional service to the Lord with specific attention for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion. So Srila Prabhupada points out that so we can see Prabhupada, so much he stresses on this. So hearing the Bhagavatam, studying the Bhagavatam, and also imbibing the principles, and at the end of the day, we try to get purified ourselves, and also we should try to help others. We should try to give this knowledge. We should try to share this. So many people out in the outside world, they are being cheated in various ways. They are all just what they are speaking. They have no clue of actually even the most basic and fundamental subject of how we are different from matter, how we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. They do not even have the basic idea, but they just speak of so many vague things and confuse people. The whole big lot of cheating is going on. But here, we just open any page of Srila Prabhupada's books. So the message is very clear, how we are eternal servants of Krishna, how Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, how the process of pure devotional service, only this can give real happiness to the soul. So we have a great message, we have a great process. So we get purified, and we also give others this chance to take up to this process of pure devotional service. So we'll stop here. If you have any questions or comments, any realizations, any other points. Yes, Prabhu? Yeah. So the question is that we come in the association of devotees, then we start practicing, then we feel that we are getting purified, and we also feel that we are making progress. But then when, because of whatever previous samskaras or whatever, then some anarthas arise, then we know that we have not made any progress, or it looks like we are again back to square one. So how to understand this? So the point is that yes, by coming in the association of devotees, by coming to the process of devotional service, definitely there is enthusiasm, there is faith that is there, and yes, definitely the process of purification has begun. So that is why the process of purification has begun. It's not that we have attained perfection. So that's why there is a whole step from Shraddha to Prema. So Adav Shraddha, then from Shraddha, then there is Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya, the association of devotees, then you engage in devotional service. Then the next stage is, in the Bhajana Kriya stage, it's called as, there is Anishta Bhajana Kriya. Anishta Bhajana Kriya means the sadhus have given you instructions, you start following it, and then you are enthusiastic, you are practicing, then there is slackness. You knowingly or unknowingly you commit some offenses, or you don't take it very seriously, or you become too familiar with the process. Then gradually you commit some offenses, you don't take the program seriously. Then it's natural that obviously you may commit some offenses. You may, today, every day morning we are hearing the 10 offenses to avoid the 10 offenses to the holy name. And we see that, we are chanting the holy names of Krishna, so simultaneously developing material desires. So we should consciously try to avoid. Yes, we have material desires, we should be aware of that, and we should try to avoid those kind of, whatever that is unfavorable to devotional service, we should try to avoid this. Whatever that is favorable for devotional service, should try to practice it. For example, we should avoid watching TV, we should avoid going to the cinema, we should avoid, spending hours together reading newspaper, the prajalpa, unnecessary talks, so many things. It's a big list. There are big lists which we need to avoid, and we need to avoid. It's not that we just chant Krishna's name and we are going to develop love for Krishna, but there are prohibitions which need to avoid. So we need to avoid that as well, and simultaneously we should also hear and chant and then take up this process. That's why this Prabhupada in many letters, in many lectures also, he has many times, you can see this word, he has used serious and sincere. He uses this word. You can do a search on the Veda base, you can see how many places he has said. So devotional service is not some very complicated process. It's also Prabhupada says, it's simple for simple, it's very complex for complex people. So that means that it's a simple process. We need to put our mind, we need to put our heart, just be sincere and try to practice, and whatever difficulties we have, we should take guidance from devotees, and we need to be honest. And then step by step we try to make progress. And also we sometimes we are also in hallucination that I am advancing, we are thinking, but actually we can see the real advancement means we can ask ourselves how much taste we have developed for chanting the holy names of the Lord, how much taste we have developed for serving the Lord, serving the mission of our Acharya, how much time we are ready to spend for that. And also we can see how much we are detached from material things. So this simple, others need not certify us or anything. We ourselves can ask this question, and we know how much material desires we have, and we know that we have a long way to go. So but nevertheless, the process works. As Krishna says, Vitaraga Bhayakroda Manmaya Mam Upashitaha Bhavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Mad Bhavamagata. Puta means so many people in the past have become purified from all this Kama, Krodha, Lobha, for everything. They have all purified, but just by taking to the process of pure devotional service. So we need to have that faith, and to develop that faith, we need to stick with those devotees who have that faith, who are very serious in the practice of devotional service. And then whenever we divert from the process of pure devotional service, they will bring us back. So that's why practicing the association of devotees is very much necessary. Otherwise, we may practice something and we may be having some conception about our own chanting, our own understanding of philosophy, our own way of doing service. But when we are in the association of those devotees who are experienced, then our path will be properly guided. Any other question, comments, anything? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada